This is the 12th video I've done on Palantir dating back to July 11th, 2020. And I've been a big supporter of Alex's and Palantir. Most recently, I've done about 5 of them where I did a deep dive into Palantir and what they're all about and what their software is. And I thought they were way ahead. And I still believe they're way ahead. And I believed, as I said, in Alex, but now I've gotten to know Alex better. I've listened to his second quarter profits and loss statement, and I've done some additional searching on Seeking Alpha and getting deeper analysis, and I'm out. That's right. I'm selling my Palantir because of Alex, because of his attitude, and I think some difficulties that he's going to face in the future and the competition that he has. I'll dig into it deeper in this video.
Best of Us Investors presents Carrie Griegmeyer.
So I'm out. I was very high on Palantir. As I said, I've done most recently 5 videos dating back to about a year ago in October. And it just, I don't want to fight Alex's fight. I guess that's what it comes to, and I'm willing to take a $9,000 loss on it. And part of it is I feel my money will be better represented elsewhere. Do I think Palantir will someday be a dominant player? Yeah, I do. It may not. It may be without Alex at the stern. He is abrasive. He is obstinate, and he's willing to fight. And if it's okay to fight, if you know your opponent and you feel you can outmuscle your opponent, but his opponent is the United States government and the UK governments, and that's where most of his business is coming from. And I'll show you that in one of the articles that I reviewed on Seeking Alpha. So I basically have said I don't want to fight his fight. And thus far, I want to then take the money that I'm going to take out and take the $9,000 loss and put it somewhere else where I think the fight can be won. Is it in software? Partially, yes, but we'll get to that. What I want to do now is take you to one of the most valuable tools I have, and that is Seeking Alpha. And I want you to listen to a little bit. It's a 46-minute call that for his second quarter profit and loss review. I don't want to take you through the whole thing, but I want you to pick up on Alex's attitude, and that he's basically saying they didn't hit their numbers because the government is difficult to work with. Okay, then find a way to work with them, particularly when you recognize that what Alex's software is all about is fighting wars, finding people and eliminating them, getting into their personal data, their information, and then zeroing in on them. Well, have we been, in your recollection, and because unless you remember back to the invasion or the missile crisis in Cuba and Nikita Khrushchev beating his shoe on the pulpit saying, I'm going to bury the United States. We have never been in more trying times with Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping basically declaring the United States, we're going to bury you. This is when his business, this past quarter, in my opinion, is when his business should be rallying. Now, I got to believe the federal government is getting their software somewhere, but they've basically said, for reasons that I don't know, Palantir, you're not where we're going. Listen to this, and then let me take you and share an article with you on Seeking Alpha. This is where I started my inquiry into Palantir. And as you can see, it's down about 56% for the year. And what I wanted to do was come over here and find their quarterly report and the spoken part of it, at the transcript. And you can see right here, it's it's available. So I just click on that, and that takes me to the transcript. And in fact, I can play it, and I can read along with it. And I want to just show you.
Joining me on today's call are Alex Karp, Chief Executive Officer, Shyam Sankar, Chief Operating Officer, David Glazer.
And what I want you to do is hear some of what Alex has to say relative to the
Global Head of Business Development.
last quarter.
I'll now turn the call over to Alex.
In the last 3 years, we have grown Palantir from a 743 revenue business with hundreds of millions of dollars in actual loss to, in the last 12 months, a $1.744 billion business with 300 million in free cash flow, which represents a 41% CAGR. 41% CAGR on a business that is now in its 18th year is very unusual. There are many reasons for this strong growth, but you live by the same sword that you pay the price for, and we deal with very, very large contracts. And the USG has some of our largest contracts, and they have been pushed out. But because of uncertainty toward the end of the year, we're revisioning guidance down to $1.9 billion. I personally remain very optimistic that the next 3 years will look a lot like the last 3 years, again, where we took a...
I'm going to encourage you to go to your Seeking Alpha. I use Seeking Alpha Premium, and listen to this. It's about a 41-minute dissertation by Alex and his other staff in response to questions. And what I heard was a CEO who's making excuses. He's basically saying that he hasn't been able to achieve his goals, and he's bringing down his expectations in a time when they should be coming up. He basically is in the business of providing software to governments to protect themselves in times of war. We are in one of the most dangerous times that I can see and that I can remember since Nikita Khrushchev telling us that Russia or the Soviet Union was going to dominate us. I would think this would be the time when the federal government would be not pushing back, as Alex said, but pushing forward and saying, we need help here. We need to move forward. You'll see as you go into this even further, Alex starts making excuses that people don't like him. They don't like to work with him because of I don't know what. I think he has a pretty abrasive personality, and that isn't going to work. The other thing then I want to share with you is I went and over here, I've followed this gentleman before, Bashar Asa, and he goes into an analysis of Alex's dissertation and the position of Palantir at this time. And what he's basically saying is what they're fighting is the same thing that Google and Apple and Microsoft and Facebook are fighting, and that's government intervention and saying what you're creating is getting too deep into Kerry's stuff. And their programs, and Alex speaks of it, does a lot of policing. And that is to say, in this article, he'll talk about how the New Orleans police had used some of his software for facial recognition and voice recognition and analysis work and the algorithms, and they're invasive. And the government is reacting negatively to it. And that's what I think is the truth behind Alex's statements, that governments are pushing back. My feeling on this, whether they want to analyze my data or not, is irrelevant. I look at it and I say, here's a company that is, I believe, probably one of the best software companies in the world, but they're fighting an upstream battle. And I think to add to the difficulty of that is Alex's personality. Now, he basically says that in 5 years they're going to be extremely profitable. And again, go back and spend 40 minutes and listen to this so that you understand who Alex is and what he's about. And then come to, I believe Bashar does an excellent article on analysis of where they are. The other thing that he goes into where their contracts are coming through the government, and the bulk of their business is the government, and how it's peeling back in recent quarters, and that just doesn't make sense because again, you have in the recent quarters, you have you want to know what Vladimir Putin's doing. You want to know what Xi Jinping's doing. You want to know what ISIS is doing. This is the time, if in fact what Alex says is they have, the only product in the world, this is the time his business should be booming. And it's not. Then I also come across in this article that his competition is Amazon, Google, and Microsoft. I wouldn't want to be in competition with Amazon, Google, and Microsoft. What I came away from this, and in the last paragraph it says that the Department of Defense dropped Palantir in favor of a polished micro-cap data walk is evidence Palantir is facing competition from other enterprise software vendors and that its product is not really as unique as he says. My pullback is basically, I think there are better opportunities elsewhere. Alex has to clean his act up. He has to become favorable, as opposed to he takes pride in the fact that these people don't like him and that other companies don't like him. That's no way to get along with the federal government. I tried that once in a tax audit. You don't fight the big guy. You understand what he wants and what it's going to take to make him happy, and then you make a decision. Do you want to win or do you want to fight a losing battle? So let's talk a little more about this. Okay, that's my take on Palantir. And again, this is a reversal. And I want to take pride in the reversal. I don't just buy and ignore what's going on. I believe wholeheartedly that Palantir is a jewel. I just think we got the wrong jeweler in the jewelry store. I think he is so strong-headed that he's going to do it his way or hit the highway. Now, he reminds me of Jeff Bezos. He reminds me of Jeff Bezos in that Jeff would always, for 14 years, Jeff said, I'm building this business, you're not, and if you organizations in the investment world, Wall Street, if you expect profit, then go somewhere else because we're not going to have profit for quite some time. Now, you can get away with that in the general world. And Jeff did. But you don't get away with that when you're dealing with the U.S. government and politicians and an overall atmosphere that right now is saying, I don't want you in my stuff. I don't want you analyzing my Facebook page and my Google search and then predicting where I'm going to be and if I'm going to do something wrong or if I'm cheating on my taxes or whatever. This is not the atmosphere for it. Whether it's right or wrong, it's not the atmosphere for it. As the article that Bashar wrote, there are government agencies who have rejected his product. There are police departments that have rejected his product. I don't care how good the mousetrap is. If the consumer won't buy it, it's not a good mousetrap. So that's my take on Palantir. I hope it's informative to you, and I hope it gives you some insight as to who Kerry is. Kerry is not going to sit on his beliefs and not explore. If you believe that makes me a flip-flopper, okay, I'll wear that badge with pride. I can learn from my mistakes, and I can suck up $9,000 and take that loss and move those proceeds to somewhere else where I think I will reap the rewards. That's how I invest. How you invest, go for it. Okay? We're meeting this afternoon. We're going to have our stock talk. I'm going to talk about this to my tribe. You won't see this video probably till Sunday, but we have a stock talk with our tribe, our community, every Friday. I just got a call this morning from Bob in upstate New York, and he and his wife are going to come visit us sometime in October, I believe. But he was sharing how he has learned a lot. He doesn't always agree with me, but he watches our videos every Sunday, or every morning. So, Bob, this is a shout out to you and your wife, and I look forward to seeing you in the near future. And if you want this kind of relationship, if you want to get involved with a group of people who come together to make good investment decisions, and I think this is a good investment decision, go to the Discord. Either there's a link in the description or go to the website Best of Us Investors and you'll find a link there. Okay, so Alex, I'll continue to watch you because I think you're a neat guy. I put you there right next to Elon Musk, but you're fighting the wrong fight. I don't think you can win it, but we'll see.